Welcome to the bottom of it with your host Josh Moriarty.
Hello there everybody, Josh Moriarty here. Welcome back to the bottom of it. Today's episode is with Dave Catching. He is a desert hero. We love that guy. He plays in the Eagles of Death metal. He played in Queens of the Stone Age. I think he started off with Josh Homme in Queens of the Stone Age. He'll tell you all about that though. I've known him for probably 2 or 3 years now. All the Colors recorded an album with them out at Rancho De La Luna a couple of years back. We flew out there and spent a week there, and he was extremely hospitable, such a lovely guy, so many cool ideas. Whenever we got stuck for any production or anything like that, he always had a suggestion, and he's a wealth of knowledge. We also did All the Colors did a support tour for Eagles of Death Metal earlier this year through Australia, and we had a bloody great time. It was a lot of fun. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Dave Catching. Enjoy. So what, you just got back yesterday?
Yeah, I got back yesterday.
From, what was this, more tour?
Yeah, we left, I think it was May 4th.
Uh-huh.
Does that sound right? Yeah, roughly.
I'm trying to remember when we did the All the Colors, Eagles of Death Metal. When was that? That was earlier. That was, what, March or something?
Yeah. We came back from that and we went to South America.
Yeah.
And then straight to you guys, home for a minute, and then back out on the road for a couple of months.
And then there's more again.
There's a lot more, yeah.
How is morale?
It's really good, actually. Everybody's doing really great. We're having a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's too freaked out.
No, man, it's been really cool. The shows have been great, and we've been having a blast.
Maybe to hear it. Yeah. So how long have you been living out here, Rancho?
I've lived at the Rancho for 12 years now, but I moved out here in '99, and I started the studio with Fred in '93.
Right.
So I started the studio first, and I wasn't living here. I moved back. Hutch and I moved in together up the street, and I lived there from '99 through 2004, and then moved up here in 2004.
Have you seen, has it changed much around here?
Oh yeah, tons. There were hardly any kids when we first moved out here. No women wanted to live out here. People were typically over 50, and now it's tons of kids buying houses. The unfortunate part is, since it's kind of hip, people are flipping houses, so they're buying. They bought houses super cheap, fixed them really terribly, and then sold them for twice as much, and now things are just kind of out of price.
That's always going to happen though.
Yeah, everywhere in the world, but it sucks here because this used to be the cheap place to live.
Is there a thriving scene out here, or, I mean,
not
people
really.
even ask me that about Melbourne, and I'm like, I guess so, but there's a lot of shit,
Yeah, I wouldn't say a thriving scene. There are definitely bands that are from around here that play, the open mic nights, or they'll play Pappy and Harriet's, or down at the Hood in the low desert, but not a lot of like big bands from around this area. You know? Like anybody that's gotten bigger, like Queens of the Stone Age or Eagles, live in LA now. So
yeah, I guess you kind of have to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
But what, you're still playing in a few bands around here?
I still play in a few bands around here. I wouldn't say we're thriving, but we still play some fun shows when I'm not on the road. Yeah.
What is it about Joshua Tree that you love? What's kind of drawn you here?
The quiet.
Uh-huh.
The quiet's really nice.
Definitely
the stars. It's beautiful and weird. It's just enough out of town where you have a little time to yourself, but also if you need to let loose, you're close to LA or a cheap flight somewhere.
Yeah.
You go to Vegas, the mountains, the water.
I think also just when we came out here with All the Colors to record, it's just something about the atmosphere and being away from the city, and just feeling like you can actually escape the noise and tune into something.
Yeah, for recording, it's great because it's great to record in LA, but then every few minutes your friends are coming and knocking on the door, or
Exactly.
there's a great gig every single night, so you're just distracted in many, many ways.
Yeah, well, we just did some All the Colours recording in Melbourne, and it was the first thing we'd done since we've recorded here with you, and it just was not the same. I mean, it was 5 minutes up the road, and then when we all finished, everyone was like, all right, I guess we'll all just go home. There was no, morale wasn't low, but the camaraderie was just a little bit different, whereas when we came out here, you're setting off to do something.
And it was really great with you guys because you got it, and you jumped right in, and when you're staying in a little house together and recording in a little house, I mean, that was one thing I talked to Alex Turner about. I was one day I was like, when they'd been back like the third time to record, I was like, why? You guys can record at any cool studio in the world. Why here? And he goes, I really like it here because we all like it because first it sounds good and it's cool out here, but also we're in a tiny room and we're all right next to each other, so we really get into it. And that was cool because it is a tiny place, and for a lot of people it wouldn't be optimum for their style of rocking.
Yeah, well, so you had the Foo Fighters come through.
Yeah.
I watched that little documentary. It's quite funny seeing a band of that caliber rolling into a place this small. But I wonder, with a band like that, and especially with that album, it's kind of like they went to all these places, but I don't know if they really can capture the vibe of the place because they're still such a huge band and they still always have to make a huge album.
Yeah, it's true.
And then they bring in Butch Vig.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was.
Yeah, that would have been great to watch him work.
He was really, really cool. He is really, really cool. They did bring in a lot of gear for that because they do have to sound a certain way. Try to make have a cohesive sound for the albums. But I was kind of hoping they would just come here and utilize what's here. But they use some stuff, but not a ton. They definitely had their tape machines. And it's unfortunate, we used to have tape machines here, but they're really hard in the desert. It's so dusty, and
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, they constantly need repairing and calibrating, and people think everyone should record on tape. It's like, if you have an engineer, a producer, a tape operator.
Yeah, it was like a science laboratory back in the 60s and that when they were doing it. There was all those technicians taking care of everything.
You can't just do it with like one person trying to do everything. I mean, you can, but it's a pain in the ass because it's always something. It's an hour calibrating it before you do anything, and an hour after you do everything, and then when you set up the next day, you got to clean everything and redo everything.
It's definitely on the to-do list for me, but one day when it can be done right.
Yeah, there's so many, there's still a few studios that do it. Jack White's got a really awesome tape studio in Nashville, and many, many people do. It's, Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
He got a great one.
So who else have you had through here? We've had Iggy Pop did that album here.
Yeah, the Post-Pop Depression. That was really fun. We're all really good friends. I've known Iggy for a long time, and he was staying at the other house with Josh, and it was great. We just woke up in the morning, had breakfast, we had breakfast around 9, started the session around 11, ended at 5, and had dinner, and then everybody kicked back and read.
I guess it gets to that as you get a little older. It becomes a bit more regimented. Yeah. A nice way like that. Have your breakfast, do that's just this many hours, and then.
Yeah, it's funny with sessions because they're all different. I remember Daniel Lanois was here, and I'm pretty sure he only works for 3 or 4 hours a day. He thinks that's the optimum amount to get the best done. And I was always like, well, that's kind of, it's great if you're wealthy and have a ton of time to make a record.
Yeah.
But these days, I don't really think you should work more than 9 or 10 hours a day. And a lot of people go all night. And it's a waste because you're just, the next day it's a wash. Mm-hmm. Everyone's just tired, and if you get a good day, I think when we were working together, I
don't think we did long days, but they weren't hectic. It was kind of relaxed.
Yeah, kind of like noon to like 11 or something.
Yeah, that was about it. You breeze in and just listen to a few things in the morning, and then slowly start getting into it.
That's the way to go, by 11, that way you have a few hours to unwind.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
You can sleep, and you can get up in the morning, have a nice breakfast, kind of walk around, cruise, check out things. Not really try to do everything at once, because,
I think I struggle a little bit because I always know how much we need to get done.
Yeah,
And I was the workhorse when we were out here because
sure.
I was keeping sober and everyone else was kind of on the party train.
They were definitely on the party train.
Have you been working on much of your own stuff while you've been here?
I have, but I haven't been home hardly any this year since, I think we started the tour in, I don't know, I think it was May of last year we started the tour, and we haven't really been home a lot. And then when we did come home, I had, sometimes I have sessions that I have to work, and then a little bit of time to do some of my stuff. So we've done a little bit of Mojave Lords. We did a little Masters of Reality. We did a little bit of Earthlings. I worked a little bit on my solo album, which will be coming out pretty soon.
I remember you played me some stuff when you were here last time.
Yeah, it's done, and a company out of Canada called Dine Alone.
Yeah, I know those guys. Well, they put out Miami Horror's second record, So I was hanging out with them during the Coachella when you guys played at Pepe and Harriet's with those guys. Nice guys.
Yeah, they're really cool, and they were into putting it out, so that's cool.
Yeah. I guess I'm interested, what's sort of the favorite thing about this life for you, I guess you must have it pretty relatively sorted these days, being a little older and been through it.
I'm pretty lucky because I live in a place I love, and I have a studio so I can do my own music, and I have cool people that want to come here. I get to tour with a really great band that I love, a lot of cool bands I love, but mostly Eagles of Death Metal is the cool, easy tour because we're a little bit more known. So we have buses and hotel rooms, and I have other bands. It's a van and sleeping on floors, which is still fun.
That's still going on though.
We don't do it very often, because all of us are busy and older. But every once in a while we'll grab a little bit of a mini tour and jump on.
I feel no matter how. That will always be there.
Yeah.
Like no matter what big band you're in or anything, I feel like there's always a smaller thing or something where you've got to keep slogging it, and you love it as well, don't you?
Yeah, and I play with a lot of my best friends, and that's great. And then since there's not a lot going on around here, it's really nice to get out of town occasionally and go to big cities and travel and see things and check out museums, and then come back here and be mellow and work on little things.
So you enjoy touring?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I
guess that's well then you're in the right business.
Yeah.
The thing I'm interested in is what people do outside of music. Yeah. Hobby wise, is there anything else? Because I find if you just do this all of the time, it can start to drive you a little bit nuts.
Honestly, I don't have time for hobbies anymore. I mean, my hobbies are more of just, it's interesting because it's not really a hobby, but if I was going to say I had a hobby, it's having, time with my friends and family, just visiting people and hanging out and talking and making dinner and, just very, I don't really play sports or, watch sports a whole lot.
You cooked us the barbecue brisket. I would have forgotten that. It was delicious.
Yeah, thank you. I love, I have a lot of friends that are chefs, and I don't know. I guess that's my hobby, is just getting around a lot of people and having a nice...
Yeah, having a good time.
Yeah.
Does music have a kind of... Is there an end goal? Is there something you still haven't achieved or that you want to achieve?
It'd be great to make enough money to really enjoy life, but I mean, I'm not broke and I'm not wealthy. I pay my bills, and it'd be nice to have enough to buy a few cool things, but... What
do you do there?
I don't know. I have a few friends that have figured it out, but I mean, I can't complain at all. In fact, I would never even think about complaining. I have it amazing. I still, I'm healthy and I do all the things I want to do.
Yeah. What is it that drives you to continue doing it? Is it just the joy of it, or, I mean, I'm interested why why musicians do what they do, you know. I find something that just was something you started doing when you're young and you love it, so that's just as simple as that, and that's what keeps you going. But
yeah, it kind of fell in my lap. I actually had a restaurant when I got a call from Fred Drake asking if I wanted to be partners in a studio with him, and we bought some gear because he was living here, and the next thing I knew, I was a studio owner, even though I was living in New Orleans with a restaurant and had no intentions of coming here. So it kind of fell in my lap, and then.
But you were playing music at that stage?
I'd given up music in LA because I hated the business. It had gotten really bad. This was in the early '90s, and I was just kind of over it. And I thought, having a restaurant, that fell into my lap. It was just incredibly cheap to live in New Orleans at that point, and it was a deal that was too good to be real, and it just happened. And I moved there, and about 9 months into it, we had a fire, and the owners weren't insured at the restaurant.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I got a call from Hutch, and he was going out with Josh's old band, Caius, and asked if I wanted to guitar tech in Europe. I'd never been to Europe, so that fell into my lap. And I just ended up going to Europe and meeting a lot of people, and then a little later, Josh asked me if I wanted to start a band with him, and we started Queens of the Stone Age. We started recording here, and then he was going between here, and he moved to Seattle, and we did a couple of different things. He did some stuff with me, did some stuff with some other people. He came back and did some more stuff with me. Then he recorded the first album. He started it here and finished it at Chris Goss's studio.
So what, you were playing in the band before that first album was recorded?
Oh, yeah. We tried a lot of different... we were recording a lot here. He was recording some up in Seattle, and then he came back down here, and we really kind of got it together. And then he started recording the album at Rancho, and it wasn't quite working with the guy he had playing bass. So he took a little brief pause and went down to Chris's studio and just played guitar and bass himself.
All right, so he plays all the bass on that record, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then I came down, I hand clapped. Hutch played a little piano. I played something. I don't know what else I played. And we were doing desert sessions around that time too.
So how long have those been going on for?
I think
there hasn't been one in a while, has there?
Yeah, no, there hasn't been one in over 10 years. But I think we started in like '96 maybe.
Yeah, okay.
And we'd get him to come up and play on Earthling stuff, and then after Caius broke up, he would come up here and jam with us, and then we just started doing Queens, and then finally when he finished the first album, then got Nick on bass and me on keyboards and lap steel and guitar. And we toured like that for a few years, three years I think.
Who was playing drums at that point?
Alfredo Hernandez.
Okay.
And then towards the end of that, Gene Troutman started playing drums. Yep. And then Troy came in and started playing guitar, and I went and started doing more Earthlings and stuff like that because I was kind of wanting to do more of my own stuff.
Yeah.
Queens was awesome, but it was it was so small at that time. We were doing van tours and occasional bus tour.
So it started like that, like every other band, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The 4 or 5 people at your shows, and then bigger and bigger as it rolled along. And
then when did the Eagles of Death Metal thing start happening?
Well,
because you weren't in that they had that guy from Millionaire?
Yeah, Timmy Van Hamel.
Yeah, okay. Where's he these days?
He's in Belgium. He's still doing Millionaire. He's great. It was kind of funny because after Queens, it was another thing of just like, I'll do Earthlings and some other stuff, but then I wasn't quite into living out here, so I moved to New Orleans again for a little while.
Okay.
But everyone was so fucked up at the time, it was hard to get anything going on, so I ended up moving back.
Everyone in New Orleans?
Yeah, because it's just a party town, so everyone was just... And the time's still really cheap to live there, which has since changed, but it was really cheap. So it was just a party town, and you couldn't get anything done. But then I moved back, and then Josh asked me if I wanted... they'd done one short, like a week or so tour in the States, and then a week or so in Europe, and then he asked me if I wanted to play with those guys, and I'd known Jesse, and I love the music. The first album's amazing. Album. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I love that one.
And it was great. It was just me and Jesse and Joey Castillo. We did a little West Coast run,
Right.
and that was really fun. And
Were you on bass or just?
I was playing guitar,
two
and
guitars.
I took my double neck and I played bass on a song.
Okay.
And then we did a East Coast run with Claude Coleman from Ween playing drums, which was great. And then we had to start doing more stuff, and the drummers started changing, and then Brian came in and started playing bass. So it was me, Brian, and Jesse. And then at different times it was Gene Troutman or Joey or Claude or Samantha Maloney. So we just kept bounced around between amazing
I think that's a
drummers.
big. It seems like a common theme amongst all of these bands and you guys is just chopping and changing constantly.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, but it seems like there's always a great replacement for everybody.
Yeah. Like like Jesse says, it's like the special forces. If somebody can't do it and you need someone to fill in, you just call the best person that's equally or better. So then you just keep forging on.
Yeah, I mean, Queens of the Stone Age has been through a lot of lineup changes, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess even Eagles of Death Metal, when you guys played, it was pretty much all new apart from you and Jesse.
Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years. But I've been playing with the band for 14 years now, I think,
That's
or 13
far
years,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be, I guess that's how long it's kind of been going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you were mentioning everyone partying hard. I guess it's kind of a little bit notorious, this scene that everyone knows that there's some heavy hitters.
Yeah, there's everyone picks a
drag or a thing and picks their battle.
kind of goes for it a little bit here and there, but not all the time.
Yeah, I guess you would have seen a few things.
Yeah, definitely.
I think when we were out here, that's why. And that last night when we got a little loose, it's like, well, I can't have been worse than some of the other people that I know that Dave would have seen. So
there's been a few people that have kind of spun out here, definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned not sort of getting jaded by the industry in the 90s. Do you still have that same?
Oh, I hate the industry. It's pretty horrendous. I mean, there's still cool people out there in the music business, but for the most part, I don't know. I'd rather not deal with business.
Yeah. I guess it's hard to escape, isn't it?
It's impossible.
Yeah. I haven't had too many, I don't know, I don't feel like hugely negative about it, but yeah, I can understand. I don't know, I guess maybe you've seen a lot more of it than I have as well.
Yeah, and I don't know. The 90s was a lot different too. Because it's really interesting. Lots of things over the music business always tries to pick what's going to be big next, and they're always wrong because it's not anything you can foresee.
Yeah, of course.
So when rap was great, no one saw Guns N' Roses come along, and then everyone started trying to sign bands that were like Guns N' Roses, and Nirvana came along, and then everyone tried to.
Yeah, they're one step behind constantly.
Yeah, they're just trying to do what they can and make as much money, whereas it would be great if it was just more organically.
Well, now I guess I find it's even more kind of desperate and calculated than it's ever been because there's less money, so they're kind of they're a bit terrified, but also I have when I think about it now, there's been some weird things. I mean, you see some. It's the same thing of just homogenous versions of whatever the cool band was happening so quickly.
And like you said, the biggest thing now is since people aren't really buying records anymore. I mean, kids don't know the difference. They've only listened to stuff on their phones, but up until the 2000s, people were selling records and getting these huge advances and making money. And
well, if you think about the bands that a band like Eagles of Death Metal, if it was the 90s, you'd have a lot more money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you'd be way richer.
And Jesse and Josh do really well because they do a lot of commercial placement, movie placement stuff, which is how you make a living pretty much nowadays,
definitely.
besides touring and making money off of merchandise. But it gets harder doing that because it's so expensive to tour. especially in Europe. People don't realize how expensive a bus is, how expensive drivers are, how expensive gas is, how expensive hotels are. And then
that's the one place with Miami Horror. We did a couple of tours, but I think they were good tours, but I don't think they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we kind of haven't really gone back just for that
and
reason.
It's the best, People there are really cool. They treat you great.
And it's cool just going to so many different countries within a short amount of time. I found a couple of times you'd be on the bus and then pull up at the petrol station and you would be in a totally new country, but you didn't even have any idea that it had happened.
Yeah, and all the stuff with the EU right now is really crazy. My first tour with Caius was 94, and it was, every day you were in a different country with different money, and and they're, like in Italy and Spain and certain countries, people didn't really speak a lot of English, especially in Italy. You would go there. It was very hard to. I don't speak Italian, so it would be really hard to go back and forth. And nowadays with the internet, you go to any country and everyone knows that you're a lazy American and you don't know how to speak any languages, so they're just happy to speak English,
Yeah.
But it's changed a lot in just, 20-something years.
Yeah, we haven't had to change the way. We just keep speaking English.
Just being lazy and just keep going.
What is it you think that musicians sort of offer to the world? I'm interested what everyone's take on that is, whether you really think we're changing things or whether it...
I don't think it's much more than music unless you're someone like Bono or somebody that really actually tries to help the world.
Yeah.
Most musicians aren't trying to save the world. They're just making music, which does help save the world. It's, we all know how profoundly you're influenced by music. How happy you can feel off of hearing a song, or
of course
how heavy or how aggro you can get, or how sad if you're already sad. But I don't think musicians as anything other than making music is really helping the world.
Yeah, I guess it's it's like a message in a bottle or something.
Yeah.
You're just throwing these ideas and these things out there, and then someone across the world can hear it and be, oh wow, I resonate with that feeling or those lyrics or those sorts of things. I know how profoundly I've been touched by music over the years, but I find it difficult myself now to think about any influence that I would be having on other people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If anyone tells me that they're I help them with some of the music I've done or whatever, it's unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
it's
really?
Hard to understand though. You say thank you, like thank you so much when they say it to you, but it's hard to really take that on board.
It is. It's really hard because as much as I would like to think that I do that, the truth is I'm just going out there to have a good time with my friends and play stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's great that people are really into it. I know a lot of people in bands that, don't get that. They don't ever get to leave their cities because of whatever, no matter how good they are.
Oh, it's good that you still think that way about it. It's easy to get caught up in what you do and then lose the joy or not appreciate it as much anymore. Yeah,
I just saw some friends of mine play the other night, and they play because they love to play. And they played a Monday night in Asbury Park. It's a band called Denola, and they're great. They're from New Orleans, but they don't get a chance to tour that often. So, there was like 30 people at their show. It's a Monday night in Asbury Park. There's probably more than we had when the last time I played Asbury Park. But they do it for the pure joy because they love music and they believe in what they're doing. And people love them when they see them. It's just not a sold out giant crowd yet. That could change at any moment too.
Do you have any advice for people starting bands or anything like that? The kids out there?
I say that, I don't know if I should be giving advice, but I think the best thing is just, do what you really feel like. Don't try to do anything that you think will get you somewhere. Just do what
I
you
definitely
really
agree.
believe in. Because
Yeah, I agree with
all the
that.
cool bands that have done anything weren't following trends; they were setting them. At least all my favorite bands.
Yeah, which is who? What are some of your favorite ones? Guys that you're friends with and play with?
Mostly, yeah. I mean, in the last few years, yeah. I love Peaches. You know, she's a good friend of mine, and I love her stuff. Chris Goss and Masters Reality.
I saw him sing with Mojave Lords
Yeah.
that a few months ago, and I had never listened to Masters of Reality, and then Hutch told me to check it out and pointed me in the direction, and I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you can see where a lot of Queens of the Stone Age
Yeah,
comes from.
absolutely.
You know, because he produced the early Caius records when Josh was really young and taught him a lot about stuff. And
Oh, so he produced Caius.
yeah, and he produced Rated R and I forgot what the other one was that they co-produced. I'm not sure, I don't know which one, but
Did he have something to do with Songs for the Deaf, maybe?
no, I think it might have been Lullabies, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe I can't.
It was there's one of those Mark Lanigan songs off Bubblegum, and I never knew who the person singing the duet with him
yeah.
was, but then once I heard Chris Goss singing,
Yeah, you hear his voice, you know exactly.
Yeah.
He jumps out at you.
Music's there's definitely a puzzle with music, and there are all these pieces. The older you get,
Yeah.
you start to see all these things. It was interesting finding Masters of Reality and think, okay, so Josh Homme's he's pinched a few things here and there. you
Well,
know?
Josh is a great learner. Like he learns from, he's played with the best people, and he's the best. So it really,
Yeah.
he really gets a lot and gives a lot to people. So that definitely, but you can definitely see some influence of Masters in Queens. Harmonies especially. I love Mark Lanigan. I went and saw him the other night with Sean Wheeler opening in New York, and it was just Mark with an electric guitar player. I'm spacing on the guy's name now.
How's Mark doing?
He is doing great. It was
Awesome.
a fantastic show. What's the guy's name? Anyway, we went, and it blew me away because it was just him singing with electric guitar, and
Anything that can showcase that voice of his,
Oh
I'd
my
be happy
God.
to hear it.
it was Jeff Fielder
Okay.
was playing guitar, and he was amazing. And it was just crazy because he played acoustic on maybe one or two songs, but the rest was loud electric.
Rad.
I mean, and some would get more mellow, but a lot of it was loud. And you don't see that very often, and it took it up and down. But Mark's voice is one of my, he and Chris have my two favorite male vocals.
Mike's was definitely for me.
Yeah.
Growing up was a huge influence.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got songs for the deaf, just hearing Josh and Mark trade songs, and Nick Oliveri actually as well.
That's why that album is so amazing, because it really,
Yeah,
it's
I
not just
agree.
one person. There's many vibes on that, and there's some really great songwriting and lyrics on that album.
Yeah, it seems with Mark Lanigan as well. He's kind of the mystique and he's, as the years go by, it's getting more and more popular and things
Yeah.
like that. I think that's happening with a lot of the scene, around here with all of you guys. It's reaching more and more people.
Yeah,
every
it's
year,
great. Mark just comes out. In a way, it reminds me of the Ramones, because Joey he didn't talk to anyone. He just let Dee Dee count it off, and then he would sing.
Yeah.
And there was no talk in between. This is maybe a line or two during the whole set, and that was just it. And that's kind of Mark too. He says a couple of thank yous and he leaves.
I think he's kind of known for being a bit
Yeah.
grumbly like that, isn't it?
But it's great now. He goes out, and I'm not sure they did it at the show I saw, but they've been recording the shows and then pressing them, and then he comes out and he signs stuff. But it's really funny now to see him, because he'll come out and he'll sign stuff now, which is really funny.
Is he in person as a friend like what he appears to be? Kind of, he sort of looks a bit brooding and dark when you see him on
He's
stage.
super cool, man. He's
Awesome.
super cool, really smart.
Well, every
really
one of the guys I've met from this circle,
Yeah.
everyone's been very lovely.
Yeah, at the end of the show, I went back and to tell him thanks for putting me on the list, and was like, yeah, you gonna go out for coffee or anything afterwards? He goes, no, man, I'm just gonna go read some blogs about sports, man. And I was like, all right, that's, if that makes you sing like you just did,
whatever you got to do. Do you have plans for your solo album? Are you going to go out on the road with it or anything?
I don't know. I'll probably not go on the road so much. I'll definitely do some shows, and we'll have to see who's around because.
Hey, if I'm back in LA, I'd love to have a shred.
Dude, would you? That would be
of course.
great, man. It'd be great because, Mark sings a song on it, and Troy and Serena, Troy from Queens and Sweethead, they sing a song on it. My friend Gary Wirtz sings a couple of songs. I sing a couple. My friend Abby Travis sings a song. My friend Leela Moss from Duke Spirit sings a song. So it'd be kind of hard to get everyone in there. I've got so many. Joey Castillo plays on it.
I'd love
Gene
to
Troutman. So many great people play on it, Chris. And so it'd be hard to get everyone together to do a tour, but we definitely will be doing some shows. We'll definitely do a couple of Pappy and Harriet shows. I'd like to do a couple of nights. We actually were trying to do it for that show that you came out to, but it was just too crazy that night.
Yeah, too much to organize.
Yeah.
I guess with Coachella on, it might have made it easier that people were actually around.
Yeah. I should have just gone for it, but didn't quite make it.
Hey, all in good time. Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much, Dave. Thanks for chatting.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Rock and roll champ, Dave Catching, ladies and gentlemen. Cooks a mean barbecue brisket. I know I keep going on about that, but he sure does. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for taking the time out. He's got a solo record that he mentioned he's been working on. I'm not sure if it's out now or it's coming out really, really soon. Make sure you keep an eye out for that one. If you get a chance to see Eagles of Death Metal, go and watch them. They got a sweet, badass rock and roll live show. Great records. That whole scene, that whole desert scene, we're a very big fan of. I'm a very big fan of. So, yeah, make sure you check it all out. Cool. Thanks for tuning in. Plenty more coming. Take care. See you later.